Welcome back into Gamecock Central, everybody. Kendall Smith joined alongside of Wes Mitchell here to break down South Carolina's newest commitment. It is offensive tackle out of Woodland High School in Dorchester, South Carolina, Kam Pringle. And Wes, this is a huge commitment for South Carolina. You see it there, number one offensive tackle in the class of 2024, according to the On3 consensus, a four-star, an in-state kid, and he is coming to play for the South Carolina Gamecocks. How huge is this for Shane Beamer and his program, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, literally huge in that, this is a 6'8" kid, has all the traits you look for in a top offensive tackle prospect. And then huge just to add another top kid from the state of South Carolina. I mean, you see it right there, Kendall. There's going to be a conversation, I think, about who the top player in the state is for this class. But, you look at all these rankings and you're talking about a consensus top 10 offensive tackle in the country. Most of the services have him 1 or 2 in the country. Most of the services have him top 40 overall in the country. So you're talking about a blue chip prospect. Again, 6'8", 340 pounds. South Carolina has been in on Kam Pringle since I think he was like a rising sophomore. I mean, he's class of 2024. And Kendall, I went back and looked. South Carolina offered almost 2 years ago. So this is someone that they've been in on for quite some time. Long-standing relationship here, a situation where the relationship here, I think, was a huge difference in South Carolina landing Kam Pringle.
And like you said, Wes, South Carolina with this huge commitment, and they beat out some other big time programs. Clemson being one of those programs. Georgia was in Pringle's top 6 as well. Tennessee was there, NC State, Florida as well. So South Carolina coming out big in getting Kam Pringle. But I want to talk about kind of what he's like as a player, because as you mentioned, 6'8", 340 pounds. He is a foot and a half taller than me. So let's get the tape up and check out what Kam Pringle could bring to the table for South Carolina.
Yeah, roll the tape. I mean, anytime you're 6'8", 340, you've checked the first box, right, which is elite size. Then you look at him on film, you see that he can move. I mean, here he is like 10 yards down the field, still blocking guys. Some kids that are that size are just big, and you kind of ask, do they have the athleticism on top of it? You look at Kam, and he certainly does, and that's why he is, according to On3, the number 2 offensive tackle in the country, according to the On3 consensus, which is the average, the number 1 offensive tackle in the country. And, you look at the offer list, like you said, if you have Georgia after you this day and age, like they are, I would say the premier college program in America right now. You have Florida after you. That was actually his childhood favorite. I mean, the offer list is incredibly impressive. Long arms, which I think you look at offensive tackle. But the big thing is just being able to pair that size with the level of athleticism that Kam has. He's also one of these kids, you talk to him, he's wise beyond his years. He's been on the recruiting radar since he was essentially a freshman. So he's used to doing the interviews. He's used to the attention. And just by all indications, I've interviewed him several times, but talking to coaches, talking to people around him, very mature kid, doesn't get too big as far as like a big head, big on himself type thing. So I think this is a great pickup for South Carolina, not just in the on-the-field sense, but a great pickup as far as being a fit for what they're trying to build in Columbia. And Kendall, we know Beamer has sort of tried to make in-state a priority, and this just continues what we saw in the last class of 2023. Really, they put themselves in a great spot with some offensive linemen in state, and now they land a big in-state offensive lineman for this class as well. And I don't think they're done. I think this is going to be another strong class for South Carolina in the Palmetto State.
I mean, Gamecock fans have got to love it, because not only are you getting a super talented offensive tackle, but you beat Clemson in doing it, which is always an opportunity for bragging rights, if you will. But we've got some more tape there of Kam, as you can see. And we mentioned his size so many times, but that's because it is so astounding, Wes. So as a guy who will come in as a freshman from the class of 2024, how quickly do you think Kam Pringle could make an impact at South Carolina?
Yeah, and we're talking about a lot of projecting there. So, reminder if you're just kind of a casual recruiting fan, he is class of 2024. So that means basically this upcoming season, he still has another year of high school ball. So you're talking about projecting him all the way ahead to that next season for South Carolina when he would be a true freshman. So I do think it is a little bit tough to project. A lot of that when it comes to offensive linemen depends on who South Carolina will have coming back at that time. However, when you're that big and that athletic and that mature as a player, again, mature beyond your years, there's always a chance that he comes in and just has a chance to play right away. And I do think there's some position versatility here. So, I think this is a guy he could play tackle, could play guard. Anytime you can do both, then I think that opens the window for you to potentially play a little bit early. Because then it's like, all right, if there's a position open, if South Carolina needs somebody to step up, but maybe it's at guard as opposed to tackle, then the fact that he could potentially play that as well gives him that opportunity to possibly step in there too. So I think you really look, there's going to be some great competition. The 2023 class on the O-line. Now you add Kam for the 2024 class on the O-line. These young guys that are going to be sort of building the O-line of the future for South Carolina. They're all good players. So that means they're all going to be pushing each other. And the cream, as they say, will rise to the top in the end.
So this could really start some recruiting momentum for South Carolina. We've seen some welcome home tweets as of late, but there are other in-state guys that have yet to make decisions on where they will play college football. One of those being Josiah Thompson, who is also an offensive tackle. He is in the class of 2024 as well. From Dillon, South Carolina, goes to Dillon High School. Do you think Kam committing could maybe start the ball rolling on some of these other in-state guys potentially pledging to the Gamecocks, Wes?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that they're going to be connected as far as like, Kam committing makes one of the other guys commit. However, I do think South Carolina is independently in phenomenal shape with Josiah Thompson as well. And I've said this several times, Kendall. I've been covering, college football recruiting for like 10 years now. I don't think there's been a duo of offensive line prospects in the state in the same class since I've been covering it. So I think, right now Kam is a little bit ahead of Josiah in the rankings. I think there's going to be a conversation to be had there in the end about who the best prospect is. I think they're both phenomenal national level prospects, pure blue chip guys. You got Mazio Bennett down in Greenville as a wide receiver. I think those are your top three guys in state. And then I think there's a little gap before you get to the next group. I think South Carolina finds himself in pretty good shape with all three, which is obviously a good place to be as that class really starts to get underway and you kind of turn the page to that 2024 class. So, we'll see how it plays out. What is the order of those three in the end? I think there's a conversation to be had. And again, just to repeat it, I think South Carolina in pretty good shape to varying degrees with all three, obviously having Kam officially on the commitment list now.
If you haven't already, everybody go ahead and get your Pringles chips today. I feel like this is the perfect day to indulge in some Pringles, have them as your afternoon snack because Kam Pringle is officially a South Carolina Gamecock. Or I shouldn't say officially because he hasn't signed his letter of intent yet, but he will be a South Carolina Gamecock.
He's as official as he can be right now,
Correct.
basically.
As a junior in high school, he is official as he can be. Big time 4-star offensive tackle, number one in the on-3 consensus for OTs in the class of 2024. Huge pickup for Shane Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Wes, as always, we appreciate your analysis. We appreciate your insight, and we appreciate all of you for tuning in with us here on Gamecock Central. Kam Pringle, he's coming to South Carolina. We'll have more on GamecockCentral.com and on our social medias at Gamecock Central. He's Wes Mitchell. I'm Kendall Smith. Thanks for joining us, everybody.